Okay guys, so today I just wanted to go over functions, and what functions are basically blocks of code, blocks of reusable code. So they're important when you're programming because it makes programming a lot shorter and a lot simpler and just a lot easier in general. Now functions have different attributes. One of the attributes is that you can pass values to it. For example, this right here is our main function. And as you can see here, inside the parentheses, there's a variable that we've created, string args. That just means that we're gonna pass a string variable in here. So that is one good thing about the functions. The other interesting thing is that you can return a value. So right here before the main function, we have a return value, which here is void, so it doesn't return anything. But those are kind of two special things about the function. And then the function will execute anything in between the blocks. So anything in between here, it will execute once you call that function. Okay. We'll just go over the main functions because we've been using it. So if you look at it, it's different than the class declaration here. The class declaration doesn't have a return type. So here we have void. This could be an integer, or this could be a string. But for the main, it has to be exactly as you see it here. So, but just so you know, if you make your own function, it'll look different. Okay, so this is the return type. So after this function is done doing everything, it's not going to return anything. But if it had an integer here, once the function was done, it would return a value as an integer, and you would write return, and then you could put 5. And then that's an integer, so you can return that. Okay, so those are kind of the two special ways, and I'll go ahead and just break it down for you. So with this website that I found, and it kind of splits the different parts up. These two parts are here, you don't have to worry about as much because they have to do more with the especially this part. It has to do more with the class, but this part right here, public, just means that the whole program can use this function. You can change it to private, and then only this class, only certain parts of the program can use it, or you can leave it right here and it's set as default. Okay, let's go to the website real quick, make sure I still have it. Okay, so here it is. Here's the function, right? So the first thing they do is do the modifier, which is public. You can put private if you don't want the whole program to use this function. The next thing is the return type, which here is an integer. So this function has to return an integer. Okay. The next thing is the name of the function, which here we just name that max, or the name of the method. They're also called method. I call them functions, but most people I think call them methods. The name of the method, and right here are the parameters. So you can pass multiple things for your function to use. Okay, and this is the body, and this is what will be executed. Okay, so hopefully that visualization helps a little bit more. Okay, so I've created a simple function, which what it does is it doubles the value of whatever you put in it. And then let me show you actually the creation. Here's the function. So like I said, don't worry about this part right here, but we're just worried about this part because this is basically the most important part of the function. Okay, so the return type, as it goes first, integer, then it's the name of the function, which is double value, and then it's the parameters, or the values, the special values that we want to pass to it. Okay, so it'll grab the special value. As you can see, it is the exact same here as the x down here. So, and it'll use it during our function. So this just basically doubles your value. So it'll say 2 times x, and then this keyword return basically says, hey, when we're done with this function, wherever this double value is at, it's now going to become this right here. Okay, so we can go ahead and just show it up here. So here's our printout function. We're just going to print out double value. So as you can see, we passed a 1. So what do you guys think will happen? Well, it'll double to 2, right? There's an error here. Else return if. Oh, I think did I close this function? I've been messing around with this too much, so. Okay, this will help us debugging. Okay, method must return a result type integer. Oh, that's right. I changed the name here. So as you can see, it tells you, hey, you have to return integer. So let's change it to void. Okay. Can you please define a main method? Okay, so yeah, so as I told you guys earlier, the main method has to be exactly as this public static void main strings arguments. Okay, so there you go, 2. So if we passed it here, if we wanted to do the double of 10, it'll do 20, and 50, it'll do 100. So you get the point, right? And then as you can see here, let's do some spaces so you can see. When you actually call a function, you don't use these keywords anymore. You just use the name and whatever value you want to put into it. So you don't use string, you don't use arguments, you don't use anything but the name and whatever value you pass to it. So if we take a look at the function again, the name is double value, and then the parameter is integer x. 50 will take the place of the x. Basically, will take the place of this entire thing. And then this will go down right here. The 50 will go down here. Okay, so hopefully that's kind of makes sense. I do have an example that I was going to show that I've created down there, as you can see, to show you a little bit more of how you can use a function. And something that you can tell right here just looking at it is this is a function within a function, because System.out.println, look at it here, look at the parentheses. This is just another function. So this function calls this other function, and then you guys, when this function executes, remember we have a return type of integer. Let's go back over here. So we have our return type integer. So it'll return 2 times x. X is 50, so it'll return 2 times 50, which is 100. So this whole thing will now become 100. And this is basically what's happening here. The number 100 will replace this, and that's what it'll print out. Okay, so I made a program which uses functions, and what it basically does is kind of like when you create a video game, you can hit the button to create a random player, and so that's what this program is going to do. It's going to create a random player using functions. Okay, it's not the most effective way to handle this this problem, but it shows the point of functions. Okay, so let me just delete this. We're not going to need this function anymore. Okay, and I've created 2 functions to help me with this. This is a function that resets the characters, and the character has 3 different things. It has a name, it has an age, and it says if it has a special ability. So it has an ability, or it doesn't have an ability. But these are the 3 attributes: name, age, and whether it has an ability. Okay, so this function right here that I've created, it just resets the character. As you can see, it doesn't take anything in, it just performs an action, and then it returns a string basically with all the information in that character. This function right here returns a string of the character, but it's a string of a randomly created character, and I'll show you more about that in just a minute. Okay, so let's take a look here. Right here I'm just creating a string that holds the full character value, which right here we haven't created anything, so there's nothing here. And this variable here is just saying if this while loop is finished, or if we want to keep going. So the first thing is, give me 1 second here. Yeah, the first thing is we're going to ask if you wanted to customize or randomize the character. So, and then we're going to take their value in, and if they put R, it means that they want to randomize. If they don't put R, or they put C, that means they want to customize. We haven't done anything for customize. So if they want to customize, we'll end the program. And then if they would like to reset their character, if they messed up, then they'll click yes, and then we'll go ahead and reset their characters to what it was. And then finally, we'll ask them if they're finished. If they're finished, then we won't go through this loop anymore, this while loop. We'll keep going until they're finished. Okay, let's just run it one more time, see what happens. All right. Okay, so I have to change this value because we're not finished. False. Okay, so do you want to customize or randomize your character? Okay, well, let's say customize. Remember, we said that if we customized it, we're going to end the program because we haven't created that functionality yet. Okay, so that's over. Okay, what about If we wanted to randomize a character, okay, let's go ahead and do a random character. Okay, it created a character. The name is Alpha Destroyer. The age is 29, and it does have an ability, which is hasAbi true. Would you like to reset your character? Yes or no? So let's go ahead and do. I don't like that space there. System.out.println. Yeah, so it repeats again. Trying to figure out. Would you like to reset your character? Where's the print line? Oh, println, is that what is happening? Okay, so let's try it again. So randomize, let's see. There's only 3 random values, so you might see it repeat. So the name is Alpha, the age is 29, and then it's the same one. Let's try it again, see if we can get a different one. So there you go, name is Will, age is 75, hasAbi false. So as you can see, we're just creating a new character, and it says, would you like to reset your character? Okay, let's go ahead and hit yes, see what happens. And then you can hit if you're finished. No, I'm not finished. Okay, as you can see, it reset it here. Name is null, age is 0, and the ability is false. So I just made 2 basic functions, one that resets and one that creates a character. But that's basically how it works. So random character creates this random character. Like I said, there's only 3. Would you like to reset your character? No. And then are you finished? Yes. And then there you go, you're done. Okay. So let's take a look at the function here. The function that I've created to reset a character, all it does is it sets the name to null, it sends the age to 0, and then it sets the hasAbi value to false. Okay, and then it returns all of that as a string, and then that's what gets printed out here. Okay, the other function is a little more complicated, but basically what it does is it takes a random value, and then depending if it's 1, 2, or 3, it assigns this character, Will 75 with no ability, Bob age 8 with no ability, or you can get the good character, which is Alpha Destroyer, age 29, and then has an ability. So that's a function right there. So you've created all of this code, and you can reuse it as many times as you want. That is the key to the function. And as you can see, these don't take any parameters, but they do have a string return type. So this function in the end will just all this code right here will just become basically a string in the very end after everything, which is basically what the return type is. Okay, so let me see. Hopefully that made sense. I'm trying to figure out what else I can do to help. Yeah, so this loop just keeps repeating, and then you can create a character, and then right here it says, do you want to customize it or randomize it? Okay, well, if you want to randomize it, then it'll call the function. So right here is how you call the function. Like I said, you just need the name with the brackets here, with the braces, I'm sorry. And then that value, remember, that returns a string. So that value is actually printed or saved here and printed. I don't know why I printed it there, but anyways, you can save it to a variable here, or you can just print it. And then when you call the other function, which is down here, you just reset it, and then you pass that value here to this character. So well, hopefully that helped.